It's not every day that you get to say you're in the presence of generational talent times two. It's the fact that these two, they're so purposefully gifted. Rings forever true. Inspiring generations with their art and the many different characters they play. Inspiring generations by pioneering, blazing trails and doing it their way. One a playwright, director, actor, and elder of the ages from the city of Gqeberha. Another a producer, comedian, and actor of a generation from Pretoria. Ladies and gentlemen, we love them. They're incredible. Please welcome Dr. John Kani as well as Kagiso Lediga. Hello, gentlemen.
How are you?
We are amazing. How are you?
We fine.
I actually feel like I'm talking to Rafiki right now. That's already how I feel.
There's a lot of Rafiki in one room.
You know what I mean? Gentlemen, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. I mean, we know how busy you guys are doing international premieres and all these things, but this is why I think it's so important to ask this. The Lion King, when it came out in 1994, it broke records. It made a name for itself in many different ways. But I think one important question we want to ask you today is, what does the film Lion King mean particularly to Africans?
Well, you know, when we look at all the Hollywood movies and great movies, it's always about other heroes, heroes away from the continent, heroes that we would find our young generation unable to identify with. And suddenly in 1994, we had the animation version, and in 2019 we had the CGI, where we could now deeply explain and sort of exploit the whole technology. And now we have 2024, and that is Mufasa, the Lion King.
Yes.
So it's about Africa. I mean, I once asked the director, where are these lions? Are they in a zoo in Oklahoma, or are they in Africa? He said, well, in Africa. I said, oh, then they speak African language.
Come on.
So the African things. You know, you asked about 1994, and my personal experience of it was that I was on a date, obviously with one thing in mind at the time, and I was in love, or what I understood to be love, you know, and this movie is like forever etched in my brain, because I went to see this movie. There was a lot of hype, and it just did not disappoint.
Come on.
It's like one of those where you just kind of, that experience, the visual spectacular, the sound, the music. It was just what Elton John and Tim Rice.
Yes.
I mean, it was really like, we still sing the songs now.
100%.
When I started doing stand-up, I had one of the things I had a gag about black women in township, and how much they loved the bold and the beautiful, and how they would get out of the taxis, and at that time when the music goes, and I compared it to the stampede in Wildebeest.
No.
That's when I was young, and I was always wondering, why are we like so in love with these bold and the beautiful things, you know? And so it's etched. It's like a part of our story.
Right.
And then years later, when Malume John played Rafiki, and you know, because that first one was very much part of our story and a cartoon.
Yes.
When this one kind of brought this thing down with this sort of gravitas, you know, and it became a lot more real. I mean, it was the live action, as it's called, and that, you know, it's something. That's what we're playing into now. This is the prequel to that,
100%.
the live action.
So Rafiki as a character is obviously very wise, and he spits wisdom both in The Lion King, the original, or the, you know, sequels after that, and now the live action, which you two are both involved in. I want to know, because obviously you play a younger Rafiki and an older Rafiki. He is always wise. You know, in society we're always like, only the older people are more wise.
Yeah.
But Rafiki, even at a young age, is wise. Why? Why is there a character like Rafiki so wise, and why is it important?
I mean, I think my take on it is that there's that intuition. I feel like Rafiki is very much about instinct. There's very much like he's a shaman as well, right? That he's kind of a person, a character that's connected to the ancestral world, the spiritual world, and he really kind of follows that. Like the idea, maybe we all connected to the spiritual world, but we choose to not focus on it because we have like spreadsheets and you know cell phones.
Not spreadsheets.
But, you know, but
People are just trying to make money.
you know, people who are on spreadsheets, they're not spiritual, you know. So I think that's what it is that we all have innate wisdom. We just need to be open to it.
Oh, you just got to tap into it.
Why
Do you agree with your younger self, Tata?
Of course. I mean, even
This is him speaking in the past.
Oh, I love that.
I mean, you grow up in a family, and we're all children in the family. In the African families, it's a number of children. There are even my uncle's children. There are all the children that don't live. I don't know who actually is related to these children.
Yes.
But that's the African way. And there will always be this one who takes life very serious.
True.
And everybody is like told, I wish you could be like so-and-so. And one day there was this guy who lived across my home in New Brighton. And my mom always said, Ninga, why are you just not like him? Look at him. And one day he came home drunk. I called my mother, come.
Look, come to the hero.
Look. That's your favorite. That's your favorite.
Dr. John Kani, you literally went, here's the one you want to bet on. Oh, you want me to be like that? Okay.
So
I love that.
Rafiki, when I first was offered the role and we had a discussion with the director, and he said to me, how do you see Rafiki? Because he's in the other sort of interpretation, he's a mischievous monkey that keeps making this and that. I said, no, he is the advisor to Mufasa and the custodian to Mufasa's legacy. He is the library that has the history of Pride Rock. He is the Chief Justice that inaugurates new kings to follow as Simba and also announces the birth of a prince. He said, that's an interesting take. We're sticking to it.
Mufasa, the Lion King, officially releases next week. But it's not just a story for the screens, it's a story for the ages, and we're so excited about that. We are having so much fun in studio with you two. Thanks for being here yet again. We're telling stories off air, and Jude brought this up a little bit earlier. On set must have been so much fun, particularly in the recording booth.
Yeah, 100%. Like, it's fun hanging out with you guys here in studio. What is one story that stands out from doing the project of Mufasa?
You got to understand, I'm in a booth in London, and on the left screen is the director. On my
who's in Los Angeles?
Who is in Los Angeles?
What?
On my earphones is Kagiso and maybe Tucker. And then, so you work that way. So the first time you might be able in one room is on the premiere.
Not the premiere.
Are you serious, really?
Yes, that's how it was. That's how it was. Also, COVID happened, you know, as well, you know. So that made the world of it very different. And I, for me, it was a sweet gig in that I would leave my house, it's almost in pajamas, and go to the studio and come back. You know,
love that.
Some days I'm just going to Grant, you know, and then I go home. So it was a very interesting way. Like, 'cause we used to being out in the elements, shooting and putting makeup and all of that. The one time where I was I had to really travel was to go record the song.
Yes.
Like I was, you know, I tell the story a lot today and the past week, but I had a complex about singing because I was considered to be a terrible singer. And I sang, you know, at university, at high school, I did a Christmas carol, and they made me speak the words. Everybody was singing.
Not speak, Sana. Not
I had to speak. No, I was the ghost of Jacob Marley, and they were like, "You will talk, you will rap this thing," and then it just became like I took on this thing of I can't sing. And at weddings I would sing, and people would go, "Hey, please," you know. And so when it came to this thing, I thought, okay, I'm gonna lose the part because I don't sing, and I had to really kind of confront it. And I got RJ Benjamin to like listen to me, and he said, he said, you are not tone deaf, you know. So from that to being at Abbey Road Studios recording a song was like, phew,
look at you now.
Look at me now.
Actually, so you've given me hope because these ones always tell me I can't sing, so thank you. I can't wait.
But it doesn't mean that it's the same. It's the truth.
I think it's the truth for everyone. I think it's
Thank you.
Because
Thank you.
Some people cannot sing.
Thank you.
Wait, can I then ask you, can you indulge us? You know, maybe
I'm not
I'll
gonna
be more
sing.
inspired.
I'm not
No, sing for us.
No, I'm not going to. But also the track, the soundtrack for the movie
Yeah.
has come out today, so you can play this.
Oh,
thing
I can play it
on the-
there.
you can
Okay,
play
fine.
there. It is mixed. It is. My voice has been cleaned up. You can have a good time. You can have a ball. You know.
Ooh, hi Rafiki. I'm
When
quite.
I first heard this song when we opened in Hollywood,
Yeah.
I went to his coach and I says, "You are truly a magician."
That's what he said.
Why so much shade?
No, but this is not a lie. I mean, this guy, Kurt Crowley, he works with Lin-Manuel Miranda on Hamilton, and he's the music supervisor and all of that. He's really held my hand through this.
I love
Really
that.
good,
That's
really good.
beautiful.
I'm quite curious. How much influence did you both have, language-wise and culture-wise, on the filming and the making of Mufasa, The Lion King?
All of it.
Ooh.
No, I remember he told me a story years ago, before COVID. We edited a thing, Schnit. Remember?
yes.
It was a short film thing, and then he was telling us his experience working on Black Panther and how he influenced the language in that film. And I think
Yes.
you take things on, like, so.
Yes,
when I
yes.
went into the booth for my part, I had this idea in my head. It was etched in my DNA because I had heard from him.
Yeah.
So I started playing, and I kind of thought Rafiki is this Pan-African guy who travels all over. He's got, as you said, he's a library. He's got like birds flying from the south, from the east, with messages in all sorts of languages, and he converses in all of them. So that was the fun of it.
Love
and,
it.
And Barry also, the director,
Yes,
Barry
yes,
Jenkins, he
yeah.
also gave us his freedom, but he also decided that he's going to take away the subtitles,
Yeah.
so that it becomes a journey of discovery.
Oh,
you know?
wow.
So when you watch, just like when I watched the first time The Lion King and I heard Hakuna Matata, I didn't have a concept of Swahili or anything like
Facts.
that. But there wasn't a subtitle that told me it was
That's
Hakuna
true.
Matata. And when I found Swahili speakers in my life, I was like, hey, you speak like Timon and Pumbaa.
And you say it all the time. They literally say it all the time.
There we go.
And also be conscious of the fact that these are lines, surely the lines have their own dialect.
Yeah.
And surely Rafiki has his own dialect.
Yes.
But we assume they speak English.
Yeah.
Now we're doing it to help you. They're actually speaking in lion growl. So, but we're allowed then at some stage for Rafiki to go, Haibo!
Yes, I love that. And can I please just tell both of you? And I think it's so beautiful that you even pointed out the fact that Tata, it was you
Yes.
who inspired Kagiso to do that. Because earlier on we were talking about it, and Jude was like, he knows that you had a very big impact on his Xhosa, kui Wakanda.
Yes.
And of course, I think that it was something that was quite special when one of our producers, Masiro, was like, yesterday when she was at the premiere and her brother heard your character, particularly Kagiso,
Yes.
adding in a little bit of Setswana, he was like, oh my goodness, they just spoke Tswana in Mufasa.
Yes.
Like, exactly what you want is exactly what is happening. So well done to you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you. Kagiso and Tata, I genuinely feel like this is so special. And, this is why, Tata, we just had a chat.
Yes.
And I asked you about, when you were busy getting arrested in the Eastern Cape for putting plays on a stage, did you want to go international? Please, can you give your answer again?
Well, all I wanted was to tell stories.
Yes.
And my stories always dealt with what I was feeling at that time.
Yes.
It was impacted by my own environment.
Yes.
I remember being detained and saying, why wouldn't you do a proper play like everybody else?
Yes.
I said, I would do Cinderella, except that the prince would be black. I
Yes.
said, "Daar gaan jy nog." It's no nonsense. So I never had that. All I wanted to, I had this dream that I'm standing on a stage and there is a thunderous applause. People are screaming, bravo, maestro.
Yeah.
I wake up before I found out actually what was I doing.
Yes.
And I said in 1975, and I'm on Broadway with Winston Jonah, and there's this 5-minute applause, and they're handing over the Tony Award on my hand by Walter Matthau, and I thought, that's my dream.
That was the dream coming
That
to
was the
fruition
dream.
many
That was the
years
dream.
ago, and in 1975 it clicked. That's beautiful, Dada. And I honestly think that, earlier on you even touched on something that I think just landed on a lot of us. You spoke about how Rafiki is pretty much a custodian. He's not just this person who's just there and is funny and all of these things. Again, a custodian of wisdom. Do you think that that specific member in African families is lost, or do you think it's still there?
the challenge we have, or some of my lamenting sort of feelings about the today sort of family, is the absence of grandparents. Is that we live with me and my wife and 2 kids, and that's it. And maybe during Easters, I take these 2 kids home in Toyando, in Gqeberha, or whatever, and I can't even communicate with my own mother because this thing says, I don't understand what he's saying. And then you think they're missing something. Because within the family, when you have a problem with your mum, my dad and I would always go to my makulu and say, I don't know why dad is so messed up with me. This says that I know your father. So at least there was that person I knew that my father is afraid of. It's happening to me now. When my grandchildren visit at home, I have 7 children and I have 10 grandchildren. I spoil the grandchildren just to drive my daughters crazy.
I love that. That's a real grandfather.
You see, so now they know when they're in my house. She says, get out. Says, I'm not getting out. I'll tell Gran. And I said, you got to give me that dignity of telling you to shut up in front of your child.
And we thank you, Tata, for playing that role because the parents need it. Thank you very much.
And that's amazing. But please, we mustn't forget one of the most important things that have made Mufasa, the Lion King, and also the Lion King successful is the incredible, innovative, I can't explain it, music of Lebu M.
Sure, always.
Without that music, it wouldn't work.
That's true.
They call him the spirit of the Lion King.
It's a spirit. I mean, he just blows it. I remember when we did to the premiere of The Lion King, the one before this one, we were somewhere near Auckland Park. There's a sort of a club there. And there were about 300 to 400 chairs outside. And we all sitting there with blankets. It was a summer night. And when Mufasa says to Simba, Simba, look into the sky. All 400 of us did this.
I remember that. I actually was there.
That was unbelievable.
That.
So Lebu M is the spirit, the soul of this incredible journey of the Lion King.
Beautiful.
I love that so much. So thank you so much for being here. And also obviously being the voice of Rafiki, I think we need to have the voice of Rafiki from the both of you. So for the next part of the interview, we would like you to do your voices, your interpretations of what Rafiki sounds like. We're going to ask you some silly questions, the 4 of us.
Yes.
So, and you have to respond as Rafiki. So, Zan, do you want to kick us off?
100%. Remember, as Rafiki, you're not responding as Dada and Kagiso. Okay, here we go. So my first question is, was Simba stressful?
It is not whether he was stressful or not, young child. It is whether he knew what he wanted in life.
Next.
That voice belongs to Disney, by the way. You might have to do some legal.
Dr. John Kani, do you know the lyrics from Hakuna Matata? Will you sing it for us, please?
Well, I would put it this way, my child. My experience in singing hasn't been something that the village talked about. I would rather you or the young people sing the song, but let us rather talk about you, Simba.
That is definitely Rafiki. You turned it on you and he made it about you, but with wisdom.
Lessons.
And you didn't even notice. Oh my word.
The next question is, how well do you know Pumbaa?
Oh, you talk about those 2 fools who always are interrupting me. Pumbaa and Timol are the most silly little things that happen in my life. I curse the ancestors for donating them into my life.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being extreme, 1 being nothing, how misunderstood was Scar?
Well, I would say that he misunderstood himself, for starters, before he was misunderstood by the world. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, what are numbers really?
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. John Kani and Kagiso Lediga.
That would be Rafiki. What a number.
Gentlemen.
Smart mouth.
Congratulations. We are so proud of you. Thank you for not just allowing South Africa to be seen yet again on an international stage, but for allowing us to dream and see ourselves in you.
Okay.
We thank you so
That's
much.
us, huh?
Thank you,
I
that's
love
you
them
guys.
to dream.
Definitely.
I love them to be.
Definitely.
Well, not dream, guys. The guys dream, huh? Dream on again. You are free to dream.
Thank you.
I think we close on next week Thursday with the dreaming.
With the dreaming.
Yeah.
Then we're
Please,
done.
when the movie opens on the 20th, don't go alone.
There we go.
Oh,
Go with your husband.
yes.
Go with the children.
Yes.
If possible, I would be pleased if you went with your parents.
Go in
Because I
groups.
want that whole family thing so that when later the kids would remember the day my grandfather and my grandmom took me and my mum to see Mufasa, the Lion King.
Oh, my goodness.
20th December.
5 Drive family, this is what it's about. Our new family members to 5 Drive, Dr. John Kani and Kagiso Lediga, part of Mufasa, the Lion King, in theatres, as you heard from Dr. John Kani, 20th of December.